Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the immense pressure and the absolutely thrilling mechanics of acting as the overall commander in an epic ancient battle. We're going to be looking specifically at the rules and structure of Commands and Colors Epic Ancients 2, and dissecting exactly how it simulates the ultimate commander's dilemma.
Just picture this for a second. You're stepping into the sandals of an ancient commander-in-chief. You've got thousands of troops spread across miles of rugged terrain, dust kicking up into the sky, and the roar of battle completely drowning out your voice. How do you actually manage that kind of chaos when you physically cannot be everywhere at once? Well, let's map out our battle plan. We'll be covering the epic chain of command, issuing field versus army orders, navigating fog of war, field general initiative, and finally, replenishing the war council. Section 1. The epic chain of command. Let's set the battlefield stage.
The sheer physical scale of this conflict is honestly staggering. We're talking about a massive 26 by 9 hex setup. It literally requires 2 mounted game boards placed side by side. Because of this massive scale, the mechanics actually force you to mirror real-world military hierarchies. As the overall commander, you don't even sit down to play. You physically stand behind 3 field generals, who are seated facing their respective left, center, or right sections of the battlefield. So you're observing the entire theater of war, holding the command cards, and dictating grand strategy, while your generals handle the actual tactical execution down in their specific zones.
And that physical setup leads us right into Section 2, issuing field versus army orders. This is the core tactical dilemma of your turn. So you've got your special 100-card epic command deck shuffled up, and right away you face a massive decision. You essentially have 2 options. Option 1, you can play up to 3 field command cards. These target specific sections of the battlefield, and you literally hand them directly to your field generals. Or, Option 2, you play just 1 army command card. Now, when you play an army command card, its power, like the number of units you can order, is directly tied to your current hand size. So you're constantly weighing the pinpoint precision of handing out up to 3 specific field command cards against the sweeping, flexible power of a single army command card that spans the entire battlefield.
And here's where that 100-card deck really shows its depth. You aren't just handing out simple move left orders. You have special field command cards, like double time or line command, which can actually span multiple sections of the board at once. But there is a huge catch. Using them costs you multiple card plays for that turn. For example, a line command card that orders units across all 3 sections, that counts as your maximum 3 field command cards issued for the turn. So it enables devastating, beautifully coordinated maneuvers, but it totally consumes your strategic bandwidth.
All of this intense planning brings us to Section 3, navigating fog of war and the inevitable communication breakdown. Okay, listen, this is arguably the absolute coolest mechanic in the whole simulation. It perfectly captures the restricted communication of the ancient fog of war. Because after choosing your cards, you can't just shout your master plan to the whole table. You are only allowed to talk in detail with 1 field general per turn, and you have to do it completely out of hearing range of the others. The other field generals get their command cards completely silently, simulating a delivery by courier. You just slide them the card and hope they get the hint. But the most incredible part? Even that 1 general you do pull aside to strategize with, they aren't forced to actually obey your advice. You could hand them the perfect flanking strategy, and they might just decide to charge straight ahead anyway. The tension at the table is just phenomenal. Which perfectly transitions us to Section 4, Field General Initiative, acting without orders. So what about that general out on the flank who gets absolutely nothing from you? No courier, no cards, just silence. Well, as long as you played at least 1 field command card somewhere else on the board, that ignored general can decide to take matters into their own hands and roll for field general's initiative. They roll a single die. Rolling a green circle, blue triangle, or red square lets them order a light, medium, or heavy unit, respectively. A leader helmet lets them order anyone. Great, right? But war is risky. If they roll a banner, one of their units is forced to retreat. And if they roll the crossed swords, one of their units just straight up loses a block. It is a massive gamble for a field general to act without orders, and it perfectly captures the danger of a decentralized command. And finally, Section 5, replenishing the war council, the pure tension of hand management. Let's look at how the turn actually wraps up. After all the movement is done and the dust settles from the battles, cleanup begins. You collect and discard all the played command cards. Then, as the overall commander, you typically draw exactly 2 new command cards to replenish your hand, always making sure you never exceed your army's starting limit. The math here is agonizing in the best possible way. Remember how we said you can play up to 3 field cards? Well, if you play your maximum of 3 cards, but you only draw 2 at the end of the turn, your hand size literally shrinks by 1 for the next round. But if you play conservatively, say just 1 field card, and then draw 2, your tactical arsenal actually grows. You are constantly balancing the desperate need for massive immediate action against the necessity of building up a robust hand for future turns. It really makes you feel that slow buildup of battlefield fatigue and logistical strain.
So the next time you step up to command, physically standing behind your 3-seated generals, looking out over that sprawling 26-hex battlefield, you really have to ask yourself, is your strategy robust enough? Can your grand vision actually survive the limited communication, the rogue initiative of your generals, and the agonizing tension of a dwindling hand of orders? Will your field generals execute your master plan, or will the silence of the courier lead your army to ruin? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next explainer.